It's time for your weekly dose of sparkle. So one of the things I'm most frequently asked is, okay, so how do you actually pitch a journalist? Should I reach out via Twitter or LinkedIn, or should I call them? And there's a lot of information out there, but every year the state of the media reports are released and they try to give you kind of an insider's look to what journalists are really thinking. And so they do this by polling as many media as they can get their hands on. Muck Rack just released their State of the Media report for 2021, and I found their information really valuable, so I wanted to pass some of that on to you. Overwhelmingly, and this continues to be a trend, this started years ago, journalists want to receive your pitches via email. 94% of journalists want you to pitch them via email, which means they don't want you to cold call them. They don't want you to pitch them on their social media accounts. So that means you've got to figure out how to email them, right? So we talk a lot about how important it is to be a good writer, but to be a concise writer. The other overwhelming majority, more than 90% of journalists said they want your pitch to be less than 200 words. If you've actually written a pitch and then put it into a Word document to count the words, you'll see how difficult this is. Oftentimes we go on and on and on because we have so many things we want to say. But the reality is most journalists are reading your first sentence. If they're interested, they will read on. But at that point, they've already made a decision whether or not they're interested in pursuing what you're pitching them. So you've got to learn to be not only a really solid writer, but to communicate thoroughly right up from the get-go. Right in the beginning of your pitch, you've got to hook them, get them interested, make them understand why they need to keep reading. A few other little nuggets that I found interesting. More than 50% of journalists prefer to receive their pitches on Mondays. A lot of them are planning their weeks at that point, and so that can be really helpful, especially if they're in a newsroom with a local newspaper or television, a local broadcast company. A lot of them are going into Monday morning meetings. They want to know what they're pitching for the week ahead. And on that same note, the majority, almost 2/3, actually more than 2/3 of reporters want to be pitched between 5 a.m. and noon. And so that 5 a.m. I have a feeling comes in from the West Coast because that is pretty early for a lot of reporters. But by lunchtime, they want to be pitched. In the afternoons, a lot of people are either out of the office working on stories or taking meetings, and a lot of them aren't necessarily getting to their emails where they have time to cipher through a pitch. So you want to have your pitches ready to go, oftentimes on Monday, first thing in the morning, concise, short, less than 200 words, and via email ready to send.